Hi, welcome back. Another session, and this is one of my favorite, and we haven't even done it yet. It's already one of my favorites because we're talking about Brand SERPs, AI Résumés, personal brand, corporate brand, and how AI perceives you, how it represents you, and the idea that your Brand SERP and your AI Résumé is AI's opinion of the world's opinion of you. And James, lovely to have you here talking about this. You're a super lovely person, super smart, great businessman, and your personal brand is super important to you.
It certainly is. I think it's become more important than ever now with regards to AI and what you call the algorithmic trinity. I think it's very, very important. Moving forward, I think it's going to become even more important, and people should be looking at branding both at a personal level and also at a corporate level as well. I think both of them are becoming, like you said, more important than they ever have been.
Yep. And you call yourself a modern investorpreneur, which I love as a term. Can you explain really briefly what that is?
Yeah, so it's an entrepreneur that invests in different businesses. So I love I feel like you get a head start if you're investing into an existing business that might have 10, 15 years trading history. So there's so many businesses out there now, baby boomers now, like where the parents or grandparents and stuff like that have got an amazing business and the sons and the daughters don't want to take that business on. I think so
Mm.
many people now want to be entrepreneurs, but in my opinion, a lot of people have become lazy, and they don't want to run just a generic roofing business, plumbing business, electrician's business. So there's so many businesses now where grandfather now is looking to sell. You can then obviously come into it, make it modern, making certain you're generating good quality leads, building up the personal brand of who's going to be running it, and building up the corporate brand to try to get cited in those LLMs, and you can take that business then onto another level where grandparent
Mm.
might not have known about modern day marketing.
Yeah, because your positioning here is you invest in a business and you bring the digital world to that business, and that's an amazing way to scale it. Now, within your world, you and I talk about brand SERPs a lot. You work with Kalicube. When did you realize that brand SERPs were super important?
Do you know what I've known probably for 5 or 6 years, but since we and you first started talking that your brand SERP is your business card online. It's the thing they
Yep.
see before your website. So I think it's always been really important. But I'd say since the LLMs came along and the Gemini AI overview came, it's just become 10 times more important. Now people, before they're even clicking through to a website or understanding who you are, they're now starting to get so much more information, and they're going from top of the funnel down to the bottom of the funnel a lot faster. And
Mm.
you've got to control that messaging of what AI is saying about you.
Right, 100%. I could not agree more. And then we were talking just before the show about the AI due diligence rabbit hole, which I love as a concept, in the sense that the brand set was just this page, your business card. But now AI is suggesting follow-up questions and encouraging people to dig down. So it's not just what does it say off the top of his head, it's what does it say when people dig down.
Yeah, I think it's one of them kind of. I think you've got a quote saying something like, "Branding is about like saying what people are saying about you when you're not in the room." And I think it's so important that I think that was like a light bulb moment for me in being actually even before now someone's inquiring. It's like they're looking to place an order with you just at inquiry stage. They're doing so
Mm.
much more research nowadays. But what we're finding from a lead generation point of view is that volume of inquiries might be down, but they are way more informed and sales are
Yeah.
through the roof, yet the inquiries are down. And I think that all comes down to branding.
Yeah, I mean, Google talked to me about the fact that the user is incredibly well informed, incredibly educated. And the other point they like to make is that we're delegating decisions to the algorithms. And it's not just the decision of purchase where we think about agentic AI, but also the decision of which brands to surface around a particular query. And that means we're also delegating, let's say, judgment on somebody's reputation or a company's reputation. Would that be fair?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the big one that people are not realizing of why I'm saying it's becoming 10 times harder now because of AI is that they're looking at all the different entity attributes of who you are. So they're not
Mm.
just looking at obviously why you're good, but they're also with query fan out looking at why you're bad. So then you need to be trying to control that part as well. So for me, like from a reputation standpoint, I'm looking to make certain I've got a lot of amazing case studies, but there wasn't online. So it's making certain that with that claim, frame, and prove aspect is that I'm getting them case studies online. The amount of testimonials that I have on PDFs and on email that they're not online, I'm like, I need to be feeding them LLMs, my reviews, my testimonials, my case studies. I need to go out and shout and scream of why we're good, that we can be winning awards, because that's all feeding into the AI as well. And literally from an inquiry stage, so many people now come through to us at initial, what we would deem as being a cold inquiry, saying, we want to use you, not inquiring, and they're not even checked our prices yet. They're pre-sold in, you're the best, and this is why you're the best, and this is why we want to use you. Just tell us your rates, and we're looking to place an order.
Well, no, sorry, I love that. I had literally had a call last week, and the prospect came on the call, said, I know what you do, I know who you are, I know I want to work with you, give me the investment and the time frame. And then I spoke to him, went through it, and I said, well, do you want me to send you a proposal or the contract? He said, oh, you send me the contract. The only thing that would have, where you wouldn't have made this sale, if you'd said something that I didn't like, or I decided I didn't like you as a person. And the sale was done in 10 minutes. Do you getting more like that?
Absolutely. Like, nearly all the time now. The sales team now are actually saying, like, some of the sales, I've got some amazing salespeople in the team, and at times they're getting bored because they feel like they don't even need to sell, because they're already pre-sold on. They don't even need to go through the sales page. They don't even need to explain why they're great. They're already kind of pre-sold on, we want to use you because of this, this, and this. And they're like, that was in my sales pitch that I now no longer to do, because AI is becoming like a 24/7 like sales machine for you. And a lot of them are pre-sold. But it all comes down to making certain, when I say the pre-sold, only pre-sold, since we've been working with like Kalicube and yourself and Liam, you've taken the business onto another level in the fact of just making certain we're fine-tuning all the elements of like who we are, what we do, and why we are freaking brilliant. And that why we are freaking brilliant is the key element to making certain that we're getting all the stuff out and extracting everything of what the salespeople are saying, getting that online, and now AI saying it at a rate of knots that we was doing it one-to-one. Now AI is doing it across millions and millions of impressions online.
God, well, it's a brilliant point. So basically you're just feeding your sales script and the justification, all the details. So the person comes, and as you say, the salesperson is saying, well, I don't need to actually say this because the person's had a conversation with the machine and just wants a human being to close the deal.
Yeah, exactly that. So yeah, the sales team now are almost becoming just filling in forms to go, and there's the onboarding form. It all comes back to the AI part of making certain that that does talk positively about you, and making certain you're cleaning up. If there is any negative, bad reviews, you're responding in a positive manner, so the AI can come back and saying they have had problems, but this is how they resolve the problems. So it's just making certain that everywhere online, and I mean, this is where Kalicube, all the data points that they came back with, they brought things up that I didn't even know was an issue until Kalicube came back with a data point saying, we've got a problem here. And I'm like, what's the problem? And I'm like, oh, right. I didn't even know about this. This wasn't even on page 1 of Google, but now it still forms part of my online reputation management, which I think is key. And what I would say, I don't want this being a sales pitch just for Kalicube, but it's very important for people that are listening to this. I'm pretty advanced when it comes down to branding. I'm pretty advanced when it comes down to online reputation management and controlling that brand SERP. But Kalicube came back with so many things that I didn't even think about. Sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and AI's getting information from places that you can control that you're not controlling. And I think that's the key part of Kalicube Pro that we love the most.
Right. And thank you very much. That was very kind of you. The thing that I like in what you said there is control, is you control a lot more than you think. And when I say to people, you might want to think about looking at your personal brand or your corporate brand and taking control, they say, well, I can't. And the answer is yes, you can, if you manage, optimize, and clarify and make consistent your entire digital footprint, which is what you've done. Now, my next question is, you have people coming through who are pre-qualified. How do you attribute the sale?
The sales, the easy part, because like once they're coming through and they're pre-sold on what you do, and you've got that many, for me, like we've got to make certain that our existing clients are happy, right? And once they're happy, they become not just followers, they become fans, they become clients. They'll do anything that you say. So all you then trying to make them do is just say, look, all what I want you to do is do 1 minute in front of the camera that says why you think we're great. I don't want to give you any words. You explain why you're great. And these times the wording of like where they might have used previous companies or they might have had previous problems, and then we became the bridge from them having problems to now being a solution. It just seems to resonate with people a lot better. So they've seen the testimonials and they say, that's the exact same problem I'm having. And they're just pre-sold. So the sales now has become easy because they're pre-sold.
I was just wondering one thing. For the James Dooley name mix-up, how much of a problem is that still for you with the composer?
What do you mean?
I mean, are you still super confused with him?
With what?
Is it still mixed up in the AI, confusing you with the other James Dooleys?
No, I didn't know there was a mix-up.
But didn't you have a problem in Grokopedia where it starts with him and then goes on with you?
Right. No, I fixed that. Yeah, I fixed that.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, great. I'm glad to hear it.
What
That's a pain in the ass, isn't it?
Yeah, I removed. I've basically got very little citations at present because I didn't want to do too many. Where it was being moved over, where half of it was me and half of it was a music composer. That was only on Grokopedia though, nowhere else.
Okay.
But I've just stripped it back as I actually strengthened. I had to strengthen his up, the music composer's up, to then move mine away from his.
Right.
Because
can you tell me about that strategy? I mean, we'll record this because I think it'd be useful, and we can probably put it into the episode. So we just cut this bit out. But explain to me how you strengthen somebody else's entity to get your entity straight. I mean, it's basically like doing SEO, an entity SEO for somebody else.
Exactly that, yeah. So within Grokopedia, you're able, like Wikipedia, to cite and put certain reference points in or emphasize something of who they are and what they do. So what was happening on Grokopedia was James Dooley, was being mixed up with a music composer, which was also called James Dooley. So what I started to do was some of the reference points was in my profile. So what I started to do is strengthen where it was, he was a violinist and a music composer, and he was part of X, Y, and Z kind of songs and stuff like that. I started to add that into his profile and add them references on his, and then take them out of mine as it was being added to that person's. And I was more, I'm a businessman, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm based in the UK, and I was strengthening this side up. And even though it wasn't selling me as being an individual of who I am and what I do initially, it was just my birthplace, my date of birth, that I'm a family man. And it was going down that route just to move myself further away, the two entities further away, because it was just like within a Venn diagram, we was too like over merged with each other. So I'm like, okay, how do I move that apart and strengthen his up and de-optimize it from mine, and then strengthen it up on his? So it wasn't just as easy as only controlling my own asset. And that's why Grokopedia is quite good. And same with Wikipedia, to be fair, that you can start to influence certain other people's profile to move it away. And yeah, it's worked great for us then. It's strengthened up my knowledge graph score for who I am and what I do, which obviously the Kalicube process has taught me a lot on there. If I want to strengthen James Dooley as the entrepreneur in the UK as much as I can, I've moved myself away from anybody else called James Dooley.
Right. And which brings up a couple of kind of points for me. We're talking about intelligent information verification, which is another way of saying, sorry, LLM is intelligence, search is information, and the knowledge graph is verification. I think most people are underestimating the knowledge graph. They're focusing a lot on search, a lot on LLM, and the knowledge graph is kind of getting forgotten, but it's the verification layer. It's the machine's Wikipedia. What would you say to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, it's the most important. That's why I've doubled down. This is why I'm getting Kalicube. I'm paying quite a lot of money for Kalicube to be strengthening up all my different entities. to take them onto another level, to strengthen up them within the knowledge graph. So in time, it becomes part of the knowledge vault, which then forms part of the training data, which, let's all be honest, Google is a business, and the cost of information retrieval is key. And the cheapest way for Gemini and Google is the knowledge vault. So if you can strengthen up your knowledge graph and strengthen up your knowledge graph score to get in the knowledge vault, it becomes cheaper for Google and Gemini to understand exactly who you are and what you do and why you're great. And for me, it's the most important part of the 3 pillars of the algorithmic trinity that we're trying to double down on now, because then there's no second guessing. They know exactly who. The minute someone now types in FatRank, they know my business model. Pro SEO, they know my business model. James Dooley UK, they know exactly that I'm an entrepreneur. They know who I'm involved with, what my connections are. It's very cheap for them now to understand who I am and what I do and the different services and who my connections are. And that's all come down to the Kalicube process of understanding the algorithmic trinity.
And that's a brilliant point. It's a really nice angle on it, pointing out that retrieving facts from a knowledge graph is significantly less expensive than grounding by looking at 80 different websites and trying to balance it. And also the confidence it has in what it says when it comes from a knowledge graph instead of a grounding where it's trying to look and see what the balance of information is. If it knows a fact, it just spits it out.
Exactly.
Great point.
Here's something for you, right? I've always been, over the years, very, very interested in PageRank, link juice, the power of it. Everything now I talk about is clarity and confidence. That, in my opinion, is the #1 ranking factor. If they've got clarity and confidence in what they're saying, they'll say it. If there's any sort of uncertainty, then they won't, right? And having that clarity and confidence, in my opinion, has replaced PageRank. Clarity, confidence is the new PageRank, in my opinion. That's just my own internal way of.
Oh no, I agree with you. That's a brilliant statement and a brilliant kind of position. I mean, I'm on board with you 100%. I agree. I'm a huge fan of what you just said. I just want to go through one last thing, which is name ambiguity, because you've suffered from that, because there are so many people called James Dooley, and disambiguating yourself from other James Dooleys. #1 is most people don't even think that's going to be necessary until you think, oh, actually, a lot of people share my name, and how on earth does it know that all of these different people aren't actually me? How does it know that this James Dooley sitting in front of me is not a composer?
Yeah.
And that's a huge problem that people are underestimating. And then one more point on that is, what happens if another James Dooley does something illegal, has a bad reputation, and that gets attached to you? How does that feel to you?
Well, that's huge. So with regards to online reputation management, this is happening so many, like, reputation management as a business has grown so much, right? And the amount of people now that are reaching out for ORM services for things that they've not done, but someone with the same name has, and disambiguating yourself from them other people is key. But again, it comes back down to, and I'm sucking this because Jason, you know this and you've taught me this, the confidence and clarity comes from making certain that there is no like, you want to disambiguate yourself to make certain that that knowledge graph score is improving. Every time that knowledge graph score is improving, you're then improving the clarity and the confidence of who you are and what you do. You're moving yourself away from somebody else being able to have, like, control your brand SERP in a negative way. If this Google News article comes along saying James Dooley's just murdered someone over in the US, and I'm based in the UK, I'm a businessman, they go, okay, we don't believe this is the same person as this James Dooley that's over here. But again, it comes back down to controlling the messaging that you can, controlling your branding of what you can. And it's key. Like, it's the most important factor, in my opinion. It's become more important now the AI is around.
Brilliant. Yeah, I mean, control, incredibly important. As you say, if it's absolutely clear and sure about the fact about you, it's much less likely to mix you up with somebody else, whether they've done something bad or not. And that allows you, I mean, for you and I as entrepreneurs, I want to sleep well at night. And when I know Google and ChatGPT, Perplexity, all of them say the same thing about me, and they don't confuse me with the other Jason Barnards in the world, I sleep really well at night. And one thing, and I think you're probably not very far away from this, is being able to stand talking to somebody and say, just look me up on any AI you want. And I'm super confident it's going to say what I expect it to say, which is my own brand narrative that I've taught it to say.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it comes down to you've practiced it now for over a decade, right?
Mm.
And you're the best in the market when it comes down to branding. You've always been involved with corporate brands and personal brands. For me, I've not had that emphasis in building the consensus the way that I need for clarity and confidence. And that's exactly what I'm working on. I used to be obsessed with short-term wins. And yes, I'd get better rankings, but now I'm in the long-term game. Now I'm in the branding game. Now I'm understanding feeding that knowledge graph, getting in that knowledge vault. It's the cheapest way for information retrieval for the LLMs, and having that confidence and clarity that the LLMs can now say in a confident manner, this is who he is, this is what he does, and this is why he is great. And if it doesn't say that, I need to build that consensus until it does. And it's just the proven part and the claim frame improvement in the Kalicube process. And I'm getting there, and it's improving every single month. I'm seeing the KGMID score moving up, and they're building that confidence and clarity with exactly the messaging that I want it to say. And the biggest part of it is now it's kind of like flowing through. I think you've always taught me a rising tide lifts all ships. So as I improve my personal branding,
Yeah.
it actually strengthens up any of the brands I'm connected to. And now what's starting to happen is there's confidence and clarity with the brands that I'm connected to. Now is being cited in the LLMs, and I'm actually getting a return on investment. And that's very difficult for someone to try to monitor. How do you get a return on investment on branding? A lot of time you can't, and it's a long-term game. I'm now starting to see the return on investment that's coming back because Google, not just Google, but the Gemini, Perplexity, ChatGPT, Claude, they're all coming back saying, yes, he's a trusted UK business owner, he's an entrepreneur, he helps take businesses to the next level, he guarantees a return on investment. And for me now, it's kind of my sales team now are starting to see all the work of what we've done together with the Kalicube process.